Constructivism. All right. What is domestic politics in the context of this?
Domestic politics is anything that has to do with the political and such within the state, like from education, gun control, everything.
Okay. How does it apply to international politics? Why is it important to study international politics?
I kind of see it like as a context to what's happening. So why certain states are, or countries are going for certain deals or making certain compromises with other countries, and what cultural differences make it so that they can't be allies with this country.
What's some examples? I don't heard y'all talk about examples.
The greatest.
Yeah, North Korea, South Korea.
Okay, how does that relate?
Domestic politics, in the North Korean policy, they're communist type deal, while South Korea is like democratic and such like that, and as allies with the United States, which gives it more power. So when they meet, there's all that coming to the table,
Right.
and all that must be considered before you can truly understand the dynamics of what's going on.
Okay, I see. How about this? Here's a theory. So Donald Trump, right, before he became president, he did extensive business in Russia, right? We know that America and Russia traditionally are sort of frenemies at best, but we're definitely adversaries, right? How does domestic politics help us to explain the relationship that we see between Donald Trump in Russia and the United States and Russia at present?
I think one thing you can understand because Donald Trump is not very experienced and, for lack of better words, kind of like trying to act as a lapdog for Russia.
But why? Because
Well,
that's
for
the
one
reason.
thing, there's been some stuff about him, or Putin, interfering in the election,
Okay.
doing so he might feel like he's obligated to kind of.
So, there's a few theories, but I think the one for this, for domestic politics, could be because Donald Trump does a lot of business with Russia. Wouldn't you want to see your businesses succeed?
That's true.
Wouldn't you want to see your businesses successful in the country that you have billions of dollars invested?
Right.
So you would want to have better relations between you and that country, right?
Yeah.
Domestically, Trump may have an agenda that is at variance with tradition, right? Other things, let's see. In the United States, we're big on animal rights, are we not?
Yeah.
Okay, scrap animal rights. Human rights, at least, right?
Yeah.
Human rights. Gay, I don't know. LGBTQ community, we're big on that, right? We're big on it, right? And because we're big on it here, sometimes it confuses our policy abroad. Is that fair enough to say? Because we think that everyone else is on the same page. But we often find what?
They not.
They're not on the same page, right? You can't, it's hard to go into a Muslim country and say, hey, big on human rights, you need to respect your LGBTQ community. They're telling us they don't have an LGBT community. They're telling us this, seriously. The LGBT community doesn't exist. Why? Because gayness doesn't, or LGBTQness doesn't exist in our country, in our religion, in our government, right? So we see how domestic politics sometimes can drive our policy to the outside world, right? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It could be a good thing and a bad thing because each person.
Which do you believe?
Which do I believe?
It's okay, it's still long answers.
No, I really believe like it would be a good thing or bad thing depending on the situation and what's going to happen out there. Like if it infringes on human
constructivism as well. What is that?
That's what she's talking about.
Ideas and beliefs within the state and people.
You hear that? Constructivism? Repeat it one more time.
The ideas and beliefs that the people hold within the state.
Right, so the ideas and beliefs that states hold about themselves and about other states, all right? What does the United States believe about Russia? They're shady. They're shady, right? So all of our relations with Russia are going to have that in the background. We're going to take everything they tell us with a grain of salt. They tell us they're not recording us. We already know that they're probably recording us, right?
Yeah.
So everything, all of our relations stems from these ideas that we hold with them. And sometimes these ideas can pretty much create things in and of itself. Because what if Russia truly wants to be our friends?
They can't be our friends though, right?
Because we can't trust them.
Right,
Why not?
because we can't trust
Trust can
them.
be built on, right?
But this goes way back, because it didn't, weren't we fighting with them over who was going to get on the moon first?
So this is the thing.
Okay.
This is
Yeah,
the
well-
thing. We were friends with them.
I was allies, I ain't really friends.
We were allies with them and friends with them.
Allies and friends are two different things.
We fought side by
Because
side with them.
allies mean that we only link up because
'Cause we
we have
need
a
something.
mutual, more like a Liberalist theory.
As soon as that was over,
You know what I mean? Like, we link up for the greater good of each other.
But all I'm saying is that the relationship has not always been one
Hostile.
of, hostility. It fluctuates. So, based on that, can we get to a situation to where we're back up again, our relationship is back up again?
they're really going to have to prove themselves a lot before we can do that. But I mean, as it stands now, we've already gotten evidence that there have been tampering in their elections and such like that. Like most definitely. So
But how do we know that they don't think the same thing about us? Like, we need to prove ourselves.
they probably do.
That's why you have to build trust.
Well, it's really difficult to build trust, especially with Donald Trump being the person to build the trust.
Now, why would you say that? He's gone above and beyond to show that he's willing to build trust.
For his own
Own
benefit,
personal
though.
gain.
For his own personal gain.
You don't
When-
trust Donald Trump.
No.
No.
When my money, when your money on the line, you'll build trust with almost anybody.
So why not invest with him?
But he's not listening to his own people.
Right.
So what are we doing?
That's the real question. How are we doing?
We just freestyling.
She said we freestyle.
I was gonna say, relating to that, maybe it relates to the passage we just read, to where you'd rather be enemies.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So we'd rather be
trust
enemies?
them. Yeah, because you can't trust them. No.
They're too big, though. They're too big to just ignore.
We're not going to ignore them. Keep an eye. We're not.
Close watch.
Okay, well, good job. Good job. Good job. Very good. Very good. Okay. So she only dipped on y'all, right? That is so unfair. Which one did you all have?
Realist?
Yeah.
Okay, you all go last, and I'll put someone with you all.
They have realists?
We have liberal.
Liberals.
All right, so let us, I don't know if she's coming back or not.
She not coming back. The lady.
And you all had
The liberals.
liberalism. Liberalism. All right.
Okay, what do we, basically, and I'm looking at my homework.
Okay. Okay. What you have to do? Should I turn this off? Is that in your eyes?
Yes.
I was just thinking that a little bit. That's why I came up this way.
Sorry about that.
But, basically, when I was reading, last night, I kind of just got that liberalism is when, people in the countries that represent them find a way to work together to reach a mutual agreement. Liberals disagree with the fact that realists look at politics like as a struggle for power. Because liberalists don't really, it's not a competition more so, it's more of a can we meet a common ground? And
What are we gonna do with this common ground?
what was that question?
What are we gonna do with this common ground? Why are we trying to find common ground? Like, what is it? What is their onus on? What is their premium on? It's not about power. What is it about?
I mean, to make sure the government runs smoothly, but not necessarily on like a personal gain type of, like I don't even know if this is a good example, but I'm gonna throw it out there because you know it's a learning lesson. I was talking to Imani last night, and I was like talking about how the United States, we like partner with like how China, like we have I think the United States is definitely more of a liberalism type of, because we partner with China. However, I feel like China only is willing to work with us for like their own personal interests, because if they weren't getting anything out of it, then they wouldn't help us. So they're probably like it's a realistic side to them, and then we're more liberals, because like we are willing to connect with certain states or countries to make sure we run smoothly.
Right. No, I can see why you're saying that.
Okay.
But liberals, they want to maximize wealth.
Yeah.
They want to maximize wealth in order to maximize the quality of life. Businessmen will say to make money. But the people that support these businesses, they work in these businesses, they will say they want a better life for themselves, for their children. So you can't really do that if you're at war, can you? War is deadly. War is a trap. So we haven't had a war spill out here. So we haven't had like a battleground here.
Keeping the peace.
Right. So we don't want battles fought here. We fight battles everywhere else, right? So we don't really know what it's like to have the effects of war, but war is devastating, all right? Devastating. And so we want to be peaceful enough not to have war, at least here, right? And we want to have allies happy enough to want to continue to support this world system that we've built.
Which is why we reach mutual agreements.
Right. So we make sure that they get what they need, all right? They make sure that we get what we need, but we want them happy enough to support us, all right? To support this world system. The United Nations is funded primarily by whom?
The countries that are within it.
Yeah, but who's the largest supporter, largest contributor financially? The United States. The United States primarily is the principal contributor financially to the United Nations, to the World Bank, to the World Trade Organization. All of the major international organizations or institutions that we can think of, they're principally supported by the United States. And why is that?
So we keep our allies happy.
They help the world system. Okay.
Is it so we have, like kind of an ultimate say what's going to happen?
That's well, but because the world system helps us out. This world system that we built it in our interest.
So when we helping them, it's really helping us.
Exactly.
We surviving off of giving them out a little bit.
Exactly. Sometimes the World Trade Center organization rules against us. Sometimes, not all the time. But that's something we just live with, all right? Because it rules in our favor more often than not, right?
Okay.
And so we want to keep these institutions going. Liberals want to keep these institutions going because they help maximize our wealth, the wealth of our allies, and we're willing to fight to keep them afloat, all right?
So, for what I had got, I agree with him because, you know, we was in the same group. But I kind of got the same thing, like, they was basically saying, like, warfare equals failure. So if you want to prosper, that you don't need
Go
to
to
be
war,
fighting.
right?
So that's kind of.
Yeah, war is costly, right? Remember the millions and the Athenians. No matter, if they would have fought, Athenians would have died. Right? Good Athenians would have died. And it would have been for no reason, because they would have destroyed a million people anyway. Right? So they're saying, look, why not, let's just skip over this part. But in the end, what happened to the millions?
I don't know, we didn't finish.
Didn't they attack the people? And then they got captured, and the men all got killed, and the women got took as slaves. Okay.
Dang.
The millions said no.
Yeah.
You already read
They
it?
refused.
He put it online.
Oh,
That's what y'all was reading when I walked in. Huh?
Mhm.
But I thought this was the assignment for tonight.
No,
Yeah.
he did put it online.
Yeah, this was for last week. We just didn't get a chance to go over it because we're out of class.
But that's not what the questions were, right?
No,
That
the
was
question
like-
was something different.
Yeah, I was like.
I'm gonna be so honest, I was confused, but we can talk about that later.
Okay, let's talk about, let's get this group first, and then, hold on, one more question.
Oh.
What are some latest developments from the liberal tradition and its application in the real world?
Development as an example.
Mhm.
Like drug usage.
I just gave you a few.
So what you said?
Like, you're talking about like the United Nations.
Oh, what about the democratic peace theory?
Oh, yeah. So what I had got from that is that the liberals actually thought that, the Democrats, wait, what did I say? They actually thought that that if it was a democratic state,
Mhm.
that it was better than a state with like dictator
And
and
why
a
is that?
dictator and ruling, and that's because they weren't prone to have more wars.
Mhm.
But as I continued to read, it was like that essentially wasn't the case. It was that, I don't know if I was
So-
understanding it right.
So the democratic peace theory essentially states that democracies don't fight one another.
Yeah.
So if democracies don't fight one another, we should have more democracies in the world. We should want more democracies in the world. And because of that, you probably don't remember when George W. Bush was in office before Barack Obama, it was his policy to spread democracy throughout the world. And that's because democracies don't fight one another. So if we want peace in the world, make the world more democracy.
So democratic peace theory, that's what's.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
But didn't they say in a reading, I'm sorry, cut you off, keep it going.
No, I just had a question. You can-
Okay, but didn't they say in a reading that the democratic states just always end up coming to a mutual agreement before they would fight?
Yeah, so I mean,
So how?
there's always exceptions. So there are a few instances of democracies fighting one another. All right, but in the overall scheme of things, they really don't fight one another. And that's because democracies have what's called democratic norms. If we get upset with Great Britain, we'll probably go to the court. We'll probably sue them in the World Trade Organization. We'll probably find a resolution at the United Nations General Assembly. But we won't go to war with one another. Same thing with Australia. Same thing with most democracies. All right.
But, back to how we should all become democracies
Mhm.
because democracies can't fight each other. That would be like, that's like almost like impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
Right, that's why I was so
that
confused
can't
with the
happen.
reading.
So, I mean, I
It
understand
can't
the
happen. We have to
theory.
make them democracies.
But then you can't make them
How do
because they're
we-
just gonna turn against democracy.
And won't they cause a war trying to force somebody to be something?
Because most of the states are democracies, they already,
That's what I'm saying, you have theocracies, and you
Yeah.
have dictatorships, so how are we?
I don't think democracy.
anarchists,
Yeah,
whatever.
you can't.
We made Iraq a democracy.
Or what?
Iraq.
Because
But you see
don't
what-
want
but you
over there
see
to
what
do all
that
that
took.
killing.
We don't see how long that
lasts.
It took a lot.
Well, this is good. This is good. Good debate. Because if you force people to become democracies, what are they going to do?
Not become a
They're going to resist.
They're gonna fight war.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be a war.
They're going to resist. They're
Which
going
is
to
what we
resist.
don't want.
And so this is what a lot of people are trying to tell George Bush. We can't just spread democracy in the world. We can't impose democracy on people that don't want it, especially our type of democracy.
Yeah.
So I have another question. So, okay, so now that we said that so wasn't the liberals, wasn't they saying that they not gonna force people to do what they didn't wanna do?
Right. So George W. Bush was a quasi-realist and quasi-liberalist. He took our liberal idea and kind of put it in this realist framework for his own purposes. All right? He was a born-again Christian. He wanted people to be free. He wanted women and girls to have educations, and he let that get to him. He forgot that he's a statesman. He tried to go into other states and be their statesman. He's the statesman of this country. Right? And it's hard sometimes to make the Bible apply to like places that don't really have a Bible. They got
kind
their
of
own.
goes back to classical political theory when we
Mhm.
were talking about who is
Yeah,
in
who's the
control,
ultimate
whether it
authority.
be the state or whether it be religion. But
Like
he
I said.
kind of was both though.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good policy, but policies are costly. It'll cost you something, right? Well, good deal, good deal. Good job, good job. Good job.
Thank y'all.
Sorry to bring you in there. Commissioner. Sorry to tell you on this one. So it's good, good training. Anyone want to volunteer with the third group? What do you like? Really? I think you guys
Alright, so,
Oh, yeah, we can go back to my seat.
So first we defined what realism was as the expansion of territory, states, and the belief that states are here to, I'm sorry, I can't read that. But, and, so basically, states are at a struggle for power, and their main interest is to expand their own territory and use military force doing so. So some developments that come out of the realist tradition include neorealism and the defense theory. So,
So, neorealism is basically the opposite. Or contrasting.
or it's an extreme extension.
Yeah.
What is neoliberalism?
Basically, establishment of states only trying to survive for itself.
Okay, I see, I see.
So just thinking of your own interests over others. And also the defense theory where states create alliances and they guarantee other states security with the use of defensive military postures. And today we related that to
Us having pretty much a really strong military and good alliances with other countries.
Right, we have one of the strongest militaries in the world, but we also have one of the strongest military alliances in the world. Why is that?
because other states want to have that sense of security as well.
Okay. So they ally themselves with the biggest, baddest person on the block, down the block, right? Or girl on the block. All right, good, good, good. Now, what do states want to do with this power? You said that states want power, that's their ultimate thing. What are they going to do? What's their ultimate purpose?
Dominant others.
Or why?
So they control.
So they want to survive. The only way to ensure survival is to ensure your survival. You have to get big weapons. You have to get big toys. You have to scare people, deter people, right? Because basically, who's going to ensure your survival? Yourself, right? Your own intuition, your own resources. In the world of international politics, it's every state for themselves. All right? That's what realism is. Because of anarchy. We can't trust one another. Right? Let's say we gave all of our power to Great Britain, our best friend. He said, hey, we need you to protect us. What are they going to do? They'll say, okay, thank you for this. We'll ensure your survival as long as we're okay. But the minute that it comes between me and you, if I have to allow Russia against you, I will do it. If I have to allow North Korea against you in order to ensure my survival, I will do that. All right? So it's every state for themselves. All right? You had a good application in the real world. Very good. Very good. What was that line in the Billion Dollar? It was an awesome line. Right. Even Machiavelli comes back to that. He points it out. Right? See, this is one of the greatest lines. That all princes must take heed of when he wrote The Prince. All right? If you want to be a good prince, you must be strong. Right? Do what you can to be strong. Right? There aren't any good weak princes. You've never heard of a good weak prince. They don't exist. They've either been taken over, had a coup, assassinated, but weak princes don't exist. Right? You only have strong princes and stronger princes. Right? And princesses. Okay, well, good job. Good job. Good job. Good job. Okay. So we can take a break at midsection. Answer a few questions. The reading, all right? So you say a few issues with the reading. Let's see. One world, many theories, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the one world, many theories. I wanted to go over that on Thursday, but they canceled class. I didn't think they was gonna cancel it all the way to 3 o'clock. They usually cancel it between, 9 up to perhaps after lunch, and then they have 1 o'clock, and we usually follow to that time period when we have class. But they canceled it this year. Did y'all go to the convocation?
No.
You didn't go?
Yeah, I went.
Oh. Why didn't y'all go? Y'all went, y'all had to sleep in?
Yeah. I went to the pictures though.
Why are you so awful? You're awful. I'm just joking. But yeah, so I had to sort of push that. I think I gave that to you all this weekend. Yeah, I pushed that to the weekend. I try not to do that, but I will, next time I'll let you know in class. Yeah, what confusion?
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you.
Okay.
So, when I saw the assignment, I was like, I might as well check to see if you put anything on there. So then I saw that, and I saw the assignment, but I didn't see the announcement. So I was wondering what file you wanted me to use for it.
Okay.
So I already have my book, because I used my book for most of it.
Mhm.
Then I ended up being partnered with Maya.
Okay.
And then I was like,
And she told you?
And we did number 3 for the,
yeah. But
So
it
you're the
had,
reason that she did the wrong thing? So, okay. No, so I sent an announcement. Did y'all get the announcement?
I just saw the announcement today.
I'll try to send you an announcement at least once or twice a week, all right? At least once or twice a week.
Are you gonna count it wrong?
No. The answers are right. The answers are right. But you just didn't put the author's point of view, which
I
is
know, but
okay.
I'm just so scared.
As long as you did it, I won't, it's no problem.
Okay.
But I will try to kind of guide it by putting the announcements up, all right? Like today, I'll put something up there, but it won't be due until maybe like Thursday or Friday, something like that, all right?
So will we have one every week? Because the only reason I knew that we had international politics on was because I went to look at my classical theory and I saw it.
Yeah, check the announcements, check the announcements. Yeah, check the
I
announcements.
promise. I said, let me check.
Yeah, so we'll have a discussion question at least once a week,
All right.
all right? At least once a week. And it won't be long. I see you looking at me like that. It won't be long, all right?
This shit goes out like
So
3
I
hours.
be going to work for the
Work
weekend,
hours.
man. I'm
It's
tired.
because you all in the wrong section, that's all. This time you'll be in the right section.
I was talking about, like, we should have been in the PowerPoint instead of the book. Maybe that would be, I guess that could have been it. I mean, yeah, it was hard, but you know, I was just trying to make light of it.
Or just send me an email next time. Yeah.
Or you sent you email of like asking me what I need to do.
Yeah,
I thought I knew.
yeah.
But
Yeah, next time just, if something don't seem right, shoot me an email, all right? Now, you can check my emails up to 9 o'clock. This year, I'm trying to do it to about 10 o'clock. All right? But I'm trying to, late. So let's take a quick break. Come back in 5 minutes.